bobcat base. I've already got the cat on the primary structure of the base, and what we're going to do is build and fill in around the pieces of driftwood and items that I've got already structured. So show you how I do this. I'm using urethane foam and peat moss. This will work for just about anything, whether it's a bobcat or a bear or a fox or whatever. Now, as you can see, I've already got this cat, as I was saying earlier, already on my driftwood, and my driftwood on a piece of plywood. I also have some pieces of a blue insulation foam attached to the upper portions of the plywood, just to help give some rise in this. At first I was going to use, instead of using urethane foam, I was going to be using paper mache and make a rock, but I decided to use the urethane foam instead. Also underneath the plywood I have pieces of scrap blue insulation foam all the way around the base, just to get it up off the table for one thing, and plus this will keep the urethane from running underneath the plywood as much. So it is serving two purposes. It's serving as a barrier and some lift for the base. Another thing is, the reason why I needed some lift, this piece of driftwood right here has got a curvature to it, and it's that's another reason also.
Before pouring, put down a piece of plastic on your workbench.
Yeah, I've purchased some urethane foam from McKenzie Taxidermy Supply. The way, if you never have used this, the way you use it, you're going to pour component A and component B into two separate cups. You want to pour equal amounts and then transfer these two into a mixing cup. Another thing is also, I recommend wearing rubber gloves or latex gloves. I do not have any with me right now. I'm out, so if you see me working with this bear skin, that's the reason why. So be careful with this stuff. We're going to do small amounts. I'm not going to try to do the whole pour or the whole thing with one pour. I like using clear plastic cups because I can see the amounts a little bit more easier. A little bit too much in this one. And that looks good. Now I'm going to take these 2 cups of foam, I'm going to transfer them both over to a mixing cup, pouring them at the same time. Get you some kind of a stir and stir this. It depends, and it also makes a big difference on how warm you have your room. You do not try to want to pour this during a cold or in a cold room. Mix this thoroughly before you pour it. I'm going to cap this up right quick. Now, what I'm going to do is pour this onto the plywood. And like I said, I'm just going to do a section at a time. You can let this stand. You can work this and watch it in the cup for a little bit. As soon as it starts to rise, you can pour it, or you can pour it immediately after you mix it. As if you noticed, I've got the cat's feet covered with plastic to keep from getting this stuff on the feet of my mount, because it will ruin. This will expand 10 to 1 or more. You can also control this by lifting edges of your plastic, so forth. Now, at this time when it's still somewhat sticky before it starts to really get hard or tack up, I'm going to get me some peat moss. You can buy this at the most hardwares or at nurseries. And while this is real good and sticky, we're going to pour this peat moss directly on top of this. This is going to give you your ground cover. Now, if this does not build up the way you want it, you can add more foam onto this peat moss and foam directly. As you can see, I've got some places right here I need to fill in, and right around the bottom here also. I keep my peat moss in a bucket like so I can have it handy. I'm going to continue working all the way around my base here and getting all the little nooks and crannies, and then we'll be back with you and I'll show you how I put my vegetation on here. Now, as you can see, I'm starting to fill all this stuff in, and the little crevices and everything. This one I anchor them with some loose pieces of driftwood also that I had, but the front piece that I just poured for you is completely set up, and the dirt has already adhered. I've just poured the sides, and it's setting up at this time. So this is a real quick method. Another thing I forgot to tell you earlier is put a piece of plastic up underneath this thing, because you don't want to pour this directly onto your table or your dining room table or your workshop table, because this foam will adhere to it. It will stick right to it, will not come off of it. So put your piece of plastic underneath it, and the plastic will pull off slick and with real ease. Okay, as you can see, I've got this foamed up all the way around with my dirt on the urethane foam, and now I'm going to let this set up. Most of it's already set up where I've already got poured at first. I'm just waiting on the back side back in here to set up and adhere to the dirt, or the dirt adhere to it. I'm going to give it about another 20 minutes or so, and then I'm going to take the base and the cat outside, and I'm going to take my air hose and knock off all the loose dirt and peat moss off this thing. And then once I see if we've got any bald spots or any place that looks like it's showing foam through it, I'm going to take my airbrush and paint those areas with some brown and some black acrylic paints to shade and blend everything, and then we'll start putting our greenery on it later. Now, once you get your foam poured and everything is set up, and I cleaned the base off itself with a vacuum cleaner, and just pulled up what loose dirt and everything that I could possibly get off of this base. Now I'm just hitting up all my bald spots with my airbrush and just touching up some of these spots that looks like, it's got the white foam or the yellow foam showing through. I'm using a dark brown, and you can also highlight this with some black on top of this too. So, and I try to catch the under edges. That's what's usually going to show the most. Again, with the bald spots also. Now I thought I'd show you, give you a close-up of me shadowing everything. I'm using black paint in my airbrush. I'm just hitting all the lower areas, all the little nooks and crannies in this, dimples and things, just to give it a little bit of a shadow. Also on my edging at the base. Again, just nothing but black acrylic paint or latex paint. I like to mix my own paints. Get them at Lowe's Hardware or Home Depot. Just a house paint's what it is, watered down.